Everybody, as is our tradition, let me begin by honoring and acknowledging that we are on traditional Treaty 6 territory and an important trading center for the Métis Nation. So lucky to have not only you guys with us today, but our wonderful panelists. Just going to thank them right now and then again afterwards, but I'm going to have Nicole lead them through some introductions, and then we'll get right into the questions. We'll leave some time for questions afterwards. And we'll make sure you're out of here by 10 to 1. But if you want to stay after and ask a few more questions, please feel free to do so. Nicole Medeiros is with ATB Financial. She heads up their entrepreneurship centers for Northern Alberta. And I was kind enough to answer my plea for help when our previous moderator had to cancel. So thank you so much, Nicole.
Okay, I guess I forgot the microphone is attached this way. So I'm the community manager for the Entrepreneur Center in Edmonton. If you haven't been to the HB Entrepreneur Center, we're Cowboy Trail and Whitemud. So Earl's, basically, that parking lot, that's where we are. Everyone knows what that location is. So I think we'll get started with asking our panelists to just each introduce themselves and tell you guys a little bit about, just tell us what your business is and just a little 2-minute kind of who you are and what you do. Less than 2 minutes. 30 seconds, Colleen. Start with you.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I run a company called Hoopla Media. We do commercial, corporate, and documentary video work, and been doing it for almost 5 years now. So go check us out.
Hi, my name is Megan Schroeder. I am a graduate here from NAIT. I own an accounting firm on the West End, Roth Schroeder Professional Corporation, and we do bookkeeping, year ends, and consulting work for small, medium-sized businesses. And we've been in business now for 5 years.
My name's Scott. I'm a Taurus. I like long walks on the beach. Wrong form. I'm with Fountain Tire. I've been with them for approximately 19 years. I've been an owner for 16. And my panel might disagree, but I think I'm probably in the toughest industry in the world, and it's a grudge purchase industry. Your vehicle starts to make a noise, something goes wrong, you don't know what it is, you're scared, you're gonna have to trust somebody you don't know to fix it, and everybody's got a horror story about how a mechanic ripped them off and everything. So it's a tough industry, but it's a great industry to be in, so I do enjoy it. So yeah, that's me.
I'm Brandon Boutin with Town Square Brewing, so owner and operator. We pushed out our first beer in 2017 and been in production ever since. We've got a restaurant on the south side along with the tap room, and we do distribution province-wide, dipped into BC and Saskatchewan so far.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get right into some of the tough questions. Maybe we'll start with Brandon, and we'll move this way, and then we'll take turns going back and forth, middle, sideways. Brendan, did you have a moment where you questioned whether you were cut out to be an entrepreneur?
I would say almost daily, there's moments. So definitely being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of challenges that are in front of you, but I think what defines an entrepreneur is how you're going to overcome those challenges and be willing to just face them head on. So, but to give an example, sorry, not just leave it open like that. So I kind of threw something down here. So obviously just starting this venture. So I've had a couple other businesses prior to this that kind of built into the groundworks of this, but there was a lot of learning curves. I don't have a hospitality background nor a brewing background. My brewing experience came from home brewing. So definitely a huge learning curve there. And then just working through the city of Edmonton, just getting them on board on the same page of what we were doing for the brewery. It was a new industry. We definitely paved the way for a lot of other breweries coming up. So a lot of little hurdles there and a big endurance and test. So,
Scott, you've been in business for like 16 years, so you might have a little bit of a different take on that.
Daily, yeah, I would totally agree with that. There are days where I could hand the keys and say, see you later, and there are days where I absolutely love my job. to be an entrepreneur, you live and breathe this 24/7. And the biggest, I guess, weapon you have against you is your own brain. And when you live and breathe this and you go home and you think about it and you don't get a chance to take that break, you begin to question some of the things you do. It's easy to listen to everybody else who thinks they know what they're talking about, but you got to trust what your gut says and make sure that you just plow through and know that you're going to make mistakes, but learn from them, move on, and at the end of the day, it's your final decision. So.
I'm so glad that I'm not the only one that says every day I do question myself as an entrepreneur, because I definitely do. Absolutely. So I think we are constantly evolving and changing. So once you overcome one hurdle, there's definitely always going to be another one for sure. So I'm 5 years into my business. We are, we're established. We've got stability with clients. We're looking at expanding right now, and I'm pretty much spearheading that operation while I'm running my current operation. I have so many things that I need to do, and figuring out what's the first step is really what I'm struggling with. So sometimes I do think, what am I doing? Or, am I really cut out for this? There's so much, but it's all about growing, changing, and yeah, having the good thought work going into it.
I get such imposter syndrome sometimes. I just won my biggest contract right before Christmas this year, and I remember leaving the meeting being like, are they going to find me out? Do I really know what I'm doing? But yeah, I also have it every single day, and I'm also in an industry that is very traditional but changing at the same time, and is also very male dominated. So I have to kind of fake it till I make it a little bit in that sense. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like my first child. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, dream about Hoopla, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
So kind of a bit of a follow-up question to that was what happened when you question on a regular basis, daily basis? How do you get through that? Like, what do you do to kind of get yourself back into the next day you have to show up for work, and the next night or minute, what that looks like? Sure.
Oh man, now I'm really going off the cuff here.
What do you do every day to like keep you going?
I think at the end of the day, you just need to keep focusing on the skills that you're really good at, and then you could build that team that fits in all those other skills. So storytelling is a big strength of mine, and every day, if say I made a business mistake or I made an error in judgment, I sometimes just even look at the past projects that I've done and I'm like, shit, this is really good. So you just have to kind of like step back and pat yourself on the back a little bit and just build that confidence back up. And sometimes it's a daily thing. Sometimes at the beginning of the day, I'm feeling really good about it, and then sometimes that stress of running a business can wear you down, and then at the end of the day, you don't feel that. But reminding yourself that your business is still, you're sought after. So obviously, you're doing something right. And when it comes to video, it just boils down to storytelling.
Yeah, I guess for me to get over, I call them fraudy feelings, when you feel like you're a fraud, because you're like, yeah, exactly. How are these people trusting me with this? But for me, I do give myself, when I have those moments, I give myself 2 to 5 minutes to feel those feelings. And I just kind of put a deadline on it and allow myself to feel what I need to feel. And then I move on, figure out what I need to do, whether I sit there and plan out my actions and my steps to move forward. But I think for me, it's really about just allowing myself 2 to 5 minutes, and after that, that's it, move on.
For me, I'm very fortunate, I guess. Being with Fountain Tire is, it's not just me. There's 160 other owners out there that have A, gone through it, B, going through it, and are there to help us. So I can phone up a good friend of mine, owns a truck center in Winnipeg, and we're really close. I'm having those doubts. I phone him up. Ian, this is what's going on. And we're there for each other. And it helps just to vent. Once you vent to someone who kind of understands what you're going through, they'll give you those tidbits, they'll listen to you, and then you begin to put it in perspective and then tackle that problem and keep moving on. But for me, it's just reaching out and knowing that it's not all me. I've got friends that are there to help me. So I rely on that.
So I would say, to answer that personally, the challenges that make me question being an entrepreneur are also the ones that help me motivate, get me up in the morning. There's always something to conquer and overcome, and I think that's what really helps me get up in the morning. And I'm also creating every day. As a brewer, you get to come up with new recipes, and you want to see them right to the finish line and see how they go. And then having people like yourselves enjoy the product, and then hearing that feedback is obviously super encouraging. And and with the growing business, it's you've got to wake up in the morning and get the boots on the ground and get moving as fast as you can and stay ahead of it. And that's what I find invigorating.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we'll start, as I said, we'll kind of go down this way. So Scott, you're going to start. What were you not prepared for? So what kind of surprised you? Something that you didn't really plan for, think of, or was like a whoa?
I was fortunate to, as I say, with our business model is you're not just thrown into it and away you go. You have to work your way up. So there was a lot there that I was aware of. But the biggest thing I would say is the accountability. I had to worry about everything. I had to be the guy who made sure the customers were greeted. I had to be the guy to make sure there was toilet paper in the bathroom some days. So just the daunting task of everything now is sort of my responsibility. And the struggle is to make sure that I pass that responsibility on to other people in my team as well. Yes, it is ultimately mine, but once I start to delegate and have help, it made things a lot easier. It's just there's so much to do, and it can get very overwhelming. You got to break it down and ask for help and spread that around. So
I think for me, the biggest struggle and something that I was not prepared for was definitely HR. The hiring, firing, maintaining good employees has been by far the hugest struggle for me and our firm. So I had this idea that, we're these young, vibrant girls, and who wouldn't want to work for us, right? We look like a fun accounting office, but really what I've learned is so many people do really want structure, or they have different needs in their boss, and maybe we're not for them. We are a younger firm, so we're always evolving, changing, trying to figure out things that will work best for us. And some people don't like that, and that's completely fine, but it's going through that process of figuring that out and having to let them go or they leave and then starting the process again. So for me, it's been really maintaining really good, reliable staff that fit well within our organization.
What was the question again?
What weren't you prepared for? What surprised you? What was kind of like your whoa
Um,
or wow?
I would say I was probably the most surprised with how much business we got so quickly. And it was a really good thing, but it was something I wasn't necessarily prepared for. So we started working with larger budgets quickly, so I had to quickly learn how to work with those budgets. And because of that, everything else was just a domino effect. So the hiring, and then like yourself, just the bit of the pivoting of your role and managing those people, all of that happened much quicker than I thought. I thought it would be more of like a slow burn, and I would maybe read some business management books. But it didn't work like that. So it was very surprising, but also really exciting.
Brandon?
Yeah, I would agree with the growth part of it. That was the biggest surprise overall. It's just trying to stay ahead of the curve. We've got people managing the product. Out there, share. Businesses. HR side of things.
So nothing too shocking, nothing too like.
Yeah, like growth trends have been kind of, trying to scratch together additional capital to buy equipment. For us, it's not just building chairs, it's actually square footage. Versus things that cost triple digits, volumes, and so just trying to get them in there, get them set up in time, and then it takes the build package. That's
Okay, so Megan, we're going to start with you. So we're going to talk about what your best mistake was. And by that, it could be like, this was a mistake, you didn't see it coming, or you did it, but you had a really good learning from it, or it turned out to be something really great
Yeah.
that you hadn't planned for.
Okay, so it was definitely a mistake, but I learned a great lesson from it. So when we first started, we were not anticipating the amount of clients that we did get right off the hop, and we didn't plan. And, someone that did a, business here at Nate, I should have known better to have a great business plan in place, and I didn't. And so what we struggled with is we had all these clients, but we didn't have a proper onboarding process in place. We didn't have a workflow in place as to how to delegate these files and how they're going to flow through with our employees. So it created a lot of bottlenecks. No one really knew what was happening. And we got to the point we actually had to stop taking clients altogether, and we had to regroup for a full year and really figure things out internally before we could take another step forward. And now we're at the point where we can look at expanding into other areas now. But for sure, that was my biggest mistake, because we lost a year because we didn't plan.
Colleen?
Oh man, I had to like be like, which story should I tell? So I had my first bigger commercial shoot, and after we had shot this, and we'd brought the commercial into post-production, I was going through music licensing, and I found a track, and I was like, oh man, this track is so great. They're gonna love this one. So I just sent it to the client. The first thing they said, they're like, we love this music. This is perfect. So anyway, after that I said, done, check mark, it's good. The price tag of this song, I didn't research it. It was, I would say, about 70% of my budget. And I had already done all production. At that point, it was too late. I couldn't go back and be like, actually, sorry, we can't use that song. So I paid for it. I swallowed it and paid for it. And because of it, you guys, there's a commercial out there with a kick-ass song.
Now I'm curious which song it is. Brandon.
For me, would have been just onboarding at the early stages, key leaders that we thought were going to be huge roles in our business, and they weren't completely aligned with what we were looking for. For myself, I thrive on a lot of autonomy, and I think that's what most entrepreneurs do. So I kind of projected that onto two key individuals within our team that weren't well equipped to be able to handle that autonomy and to drive and motivate themselves to help the growth trend of our business. If we had more time, I think they would have flourished very well, but we had to find people that needed to grow as fast as we did. So, yeah.
Who's our HR students in the crowd? Any of you? No one? Might be something you can work for lunch during. Ugh, change your path. Go into HR. There's a bunch of entrepreneurs that might need some help. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs in Alberta, so not a bad idea. Okay, so you get to start, Colleen. They all started. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Scott.
Okay.
Thank you.
The best mistake, I guess, is I've hired the wrong people. That may sound funny, but it's so very true. I've hired people to fill a role, and my gut told me I shouldn't have, but I did it. Then I paid the price down the road, and I had to let them go. But the team that stayed with me got stronger. They did better. And for that, I have a stronger team today. So hire them, but had to fire them, but in the end, it all worked out good.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So it's going out of order. I think it's messing me up. I also work for a bank and I can't do math, so it'd be helpful. So Colleen, what has been your best moment yet, most rewarding, best moment that you can think of to date?
So sometimes as a small business, and especially in production, the Edmonton area gets really underrated when it comes to production. A lot of the bigger commercials or agencies will go to Calgary to shoot, or Vancouver, or they'll fly directors from Vancouver, Toronto into the city to shoot for larger scale projects. And this past year, we won Best in Show for the Advertising Club of Edmonton, the ACE Awards, which was the first time it had ever gone to a small shop and not a large scale agency. So it was so validating that like all this work that we'd put into keeping the work in Alberta, in Edmonton, and validating that it was good, that it's good enough to win this award, and that you don't have to be a huge shop to really put your stamp on the industry.
You guys have won some awards too, right? But is that been your best moments, or do you have something else that you...
Yeah, so kind of branch that off into two segments. So business, obviously, so winning some awards. Alberta, we secured 7 different Alberta Craft Beer Awards, and then nationally we've won 2 also, which is a huge achievement for a company that's only been around for a couple of years and just started brewing. And then personally, it's we did hire the wrong people, obviously, but we also hired the right people. Thank goodness, because that's who we need in our business. One of the key individuals was I would say hire number 2. She came on just as a part-time job. She had a career in a totally different industry, and she started growing and flourishing with us and decided to drop everything on that career and chase the craft beer dream, I guess, a little bit. She's now full-time with us and our general manager, and training her to kind of take more and more of the business side of things. And yeah, so for me, that's the biggest win right there on a personal side, is to help coach and develop somebody like that.
Just one moment.
Yeah.
So as I said, I've been with the company 19 years, 16 as an owner. We'll do the quick sort of top 5. Met my wife, started a family, had an opportunity to travel. I've met some incredible people from coast to coast that are colleagues, and more importantly are friends, and consider them family. Met some amazing people, as I said, but a gentleman by the name of Rick Hansen, Jay Leno, all because of my company. So there's so many things that I'm proud for, and when I truly say that this company has provided me with my lifestyle, my life, it's so close to home. So.
Yeah, for me, it may sound a bit petty, but I had me and my business partner both, we had so many people doubt us. So to be able to grow this business into a nice, vibrant, stable firm has felt really great for me. I've also had the opportunity, when I left, I'm from Slave Lake, and when I left, I always said I wanted to do something where I could give back to my community. So I've mentored students. I've done a bursary here at NAIT for Indigenous students in the business program, more specifically ones from rural communities. I was featured in CPA magazine, but more so about mentorship. So for me, that was really important to have other people recognize that I am actually fulfilling my dream of giving back to community one way or another. So yeah, that's been really great for me. And then personally as well, is just having the opportunity to do what I want. I can work from anywhere at any time. So if I want to take off on Friday and go to the mountains like I did last weekend, I was able to do that, and I didn't have to answer to anybody, and I'm completely in charge of my future, and it's all dependent on how much work I want to put in, right? It's not up to anybody else but me, so that's what has been extremely rewarding for myself.
Okay, who wants to start this one? The next one? The last one? Almost the last one? Smartest thing you have done since becoming an entrepreneur. Who wants to take it first? There we go.
I think I have some ideas. In the beginning, I really had this ridiculous mindset. Well, it's not ridiculous because some people can operate that way of just hustle, hustle. There was nights I didn't sleep. I literally worked until 6 in the morning, maybe slept 30 minutes and then went into the office. So for me, the smartest thing was taking the time for myself and making sure that I was setting up some really healthy habits and mindsets, and starting my day off every day with some habits, even if it meant jumping out of bed and making my bed. That was a habit that I had to implement to make my day continue on, right? So, and then taking time, I, try and find time to meditate, do some gratitude practice, 15 minutes to read a day, things like that, to really just take time for yourself, and just have those healthy habits and mindsets, because if you're not available, then you're not worth anything to anyone else, right? So you have to take care of yourself first, for sure.
Should I go next?
Sure.
Mine was relationships. So when I first started the business, my husband and we put together this giant spreadsheet of people we wanted to take out, or I would take out for coffee or beer or whatever. I gained so much weight that summer. Haven't lost it yet. And then I've kept those relationships up to this point. Like, Nicole's actually a really great example. Like, I met Nicole when you were like, what? Was that 2 positions ago now? Like, or did you go straight? Who knows? Who knows? Seems like ages ago.
I was at AWE.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, I met Nicole at a networking event, and then we met up for coffee, and then she gave me an opportunity, and then since then we touch base every now and again. And keeping those relationships strong, and it'll help your business so much. It's just all about relationships.
Right over the mic.
I agree with that. So just partnering with other entrepreneurs, especially in our industry, with it being so in the infant stages in Alberta, and especially in Edmonton, it was vital to kind of partner with those people and get the coaching, get the support. Also staying open for the criticism and feedback that isn't always the easiest to hear. But when you've got a strong team around you of other people that are, fighting the same fight or on the same adventure, it's critical to keep growing yourself and growing your business.
This is a tough one for me because I don't really know I have a good answer for it. I'd like to get some healthy habits, and I'm trying to focus on that. I guess maybe I just embraced that this is my lifestyle, right? My truck I drive is a traveling billboard. I wear company paraphernalia all the time, which I'm sure we all do. I just embraced it. So when I go get groceries, the cashier recognizes me as the Fountain Tire guy. And I've just embraced that I'm the local Fountain Tire guy. So I can run from it, or I can have fun with it. So I'd say probably embrace that.
Scott, which location are you?
Londonderry.
Okay. I'm going to take my car to Londonderry.
Awesome. So that's the last of the questions that Cecile sent you guys. I have one more I'm going to throw at you, and then we'll open it up. We'll have some minutes there. But when you think of, because the theme for today is the good, the bad, and the ugly of being an entrepreneur, of those 3 things, and as you look at them, what would you say for you has been the good, the bad, and the ugly? And what have you taken from it? What's your final kind of thought on all those 3 things? Yeah.
I'll start with the good, because this is near and dear to my heart. 16 years ago, Fountain Tire decided at our annual convention to do a bit of a sports theme. And so we had MVP, Most Valuable Partner, Most Improved Retail, Most Improved Mixed, and Rookie of the Year. I happen to be the original Rookie of the Year, which is a huge honor to me. That year, of course, being new to the company, you want to fit in. You don't want to break the mold. You don't want to be too outrageous. They told me to drink from the cup, my previous owner, and I said, no, I can't do it. And he says, no, drink from the cup. So I said, okay. We poured my drink in. I took a drink, and someone took a photo of that. The next year's winner, who happens to be my friend in Winnipeg, Ian, I went up to him and said, hey, we've got a chance to do something special. That each year, the previous year's winner will buy some champagne, we'll pour it in the cup, and we'll have a drink. This will be our 17th convention. Every single year we have done it. It is a part of who we are. The MVPs, the guys who have been around the block, copy us now because they think this is a cool tradition. And for me, it's a way of giving back. It's a way of bringing that newbie into the group and making him feel a part of our family immediately, because we are a big part of that is the family. So for me, hands down, that's the greatest thing we've done. We do it every year. Every guy looks forward to it, and yeah, it just makes my convention every single year.
Anybody else have something to add to that question? It doesn't all have to be good. It could be the good that leads to the,
Could do. Yeah.
can.
The good is I'm proud of every single product we put out the door. And that's something that when I question what I'm doing, it's what I said earlier, just watch. They're like my babies I send out into the world. The bad is things don't always, I think it's just, and it's not necessarily bad. And I'm sure other industries are the same way. It's just having to always problem solve and pivot, and nothing is ever going to go the way you've planned. There will always be road bumps in every single project, every single client. So you just have to be able to pivot. Sometimes that's a good thing, so it doesn't always have to be bad, but sometimes it's bad. And then the ugly is, for me, I would say it's the managing part, because we're managing crew, we're managing employees, and I'm managing the client all in one. Sometimes I go home and I'm like, oh my God. My husband's like, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like, ah! That's it.
Who's having that for dinner? I don't know. I just make a decision. Anyone else have anything they want to touch on?
For me, the good is obviously creating something I'm passionate about. So that's amazing. The bad is managing time and relationships. So as a father, a husband, business owner, it's a constant juggle between the three. So there tends to be some opposition that comes up depending on how I prioritize my life and my people that are in my life. The ugly is cleaning out a fermenter or the mash tun. People don't realize, they think brewing is a very glorious job. You get to drink beer every day, which you actually don't. And the beer that you do drink is disgusting because it's warm and fermenting. But brewing's actually 90% cleaning, 10% brewing. So we're glorified janitors. So that's the ugly part.
Megan, do you have anything?
Yeah, so for me, the good has been the amount of personal growth that I've had since starting my company. And hearing people say that they can see the growth in me, right? I never would have done something like this before. I did not have the confidence to do anything like this, and now I'm doing seminars here at NAIT for alumni. I never would have even thought to stand in front of 2 people, let alone sometimes 80 and whoever's tuning in online. So for me, it's been the personal growth and the opportunity to meet some really great people along the way, to be able to travel along with my business. So I usually go to New Orleans every year for, I meet up with some other female entrepreneurs and we do some business masterminding. So that's something that I can do in my business, and it's a write-off. So that's been really great, and the bad for sure would be maintaining relationships can be difficult sometimes, but I think if those people really understand you and what you're passionate about, then they're going to stick around, and the ones that don't understand it, well, maybe you're just on different paths, and that's completely okay, and I've definitely had to do that for sure.
Great. I think we're going to open it up to you guys. Does anyone have a question? Yes? Like janitor.
Yeah, so I thought getting into this business, it was going to be more just building, casting vision, offering recipe feedback and development. Then you quickly start to wear different hats as your business grows and move into different roles. You definitely see more strengths and weaknesses, and have to have fun with it, right? And then you start, your passion will start pull out of you as you're moving in there. There's a reason why you started on that path. So there'll be a facet in your business that you develop that you're going to be seeking after on a constant basis.
For me, it would be, as the owner, I would show up early, I'd leave, go golfing, go do my vacations, have a bunch of fun, and not worry about the place. And that's so much farther from the truth that it's unfathomable. I leave the shop, I might leave early, but my phone could ring and there goes my afternoon. Or, I might go on vacation, but I'm constantly thinking what's going on, are people being taken care of? Is my team showing up? So I never thought in a million years that when I walked away, I'd be still thinking about it and more consumed by it. And it's again, what I live and breathe.
Yeah, I would have to agree that definitely when I first started, I thought I would just be doing some books for clients and that was it. And next thing you know, I'm doing marketing, HR, managing, administrative, plus doing client work. So it wasn't what I envisioned. I thought it'd be this grand, job where I could do what I want. And I still can for the most part, but yeah, it's definitely not what I had in mind, but I'm still extremely grateful and extremely happy, and I have absolutely no regrets at all.
I think the role itself, I've been in the industry for close to 12 years, so the actual role itself isn't completely different, but it's the management side. I think I didn't realize how hard and how much of a skill managing employees is, and how that skill needs a little flexing on my end.
Anyone else have any questions? Yeah?
My God, I love it. I love video. I love movies. I love TV. I love coming up with creative and seeing it come to life. I think what's really satisfying about my line of work is that there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And you go through that emotional roller coaster with each project, but at the very end, you have this amazing piece that is your brainchild, basically, that you thought of at the beginning of those stages. So seeing that follow through and seeing that end product and having it be something that you're not only proud of, but is validated by the people around you is an incredible feeling.
For me, I didn't know what I was going to do, if I'm being honest. So even me coming to Nate, I just knew I wanted to work in an office, so I was like, I'll take business. And then I got into business, and things changed, and accounting really fit for me, so I went with that. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do once I was done here. And I worked for Canada Revenue Agency for 5 years. I was a controller for a couple years. But I can truly say in this role, I'm so fulfilled, and I have finally found what I'm looking for. So I didn't plan for this right from the get-go, but I'm extremely happy that this is how it ended up for me.
I wasn't smart enough to stay in school. I always knew that I wanted to own my own business. I never in a million years thought I'd be in the automotive industry. I got my start because I used to work for a company called Gasland, pumping gas and doing that. And believe it or not, I was fired because I didn't count the smokes one night. I was fired for that. Needed a job, was still in high school, began as a tire guy in the back, doing oil changes, busting tires, and I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping people. When I moved to the front counter, someone would come in and say, there's a problem with my vehicle, there's something going wrong. And I take immense pride in helping you out and solving your problems and taking care of you. And that for me is why I love it, because I do enjoy helping people and taking care of and making their problems my problems, but then solving them together. So.
I think I've said it a few times, just the passion and the opportunity to create. This is our 4th business we've done, and then being actually hands-on to see something birth right from, from a liquid to a grain, all the way up, and to, people enjoying the food or the drinks that we're providing. There's the sheer creation of it.
I had a couple friends who also run businesses, as well as I kind of just borrowed / stole ideas from other companies that I know. For instance, an agency I know uses Harvest to track time and make sure you're on budget, so we used that. I had a friend of mine who uses Origami for their bookkeeping and their taxes and payroll and all that, so I ended up using them. My husband is a huge tech nerd. He works at Jobber, and he knows a lot of he always looks into Wealth Simple for our benefits for employees, that sort of thing. So I think it's almost like I took it as little blocks from people that I know and just crammed it together. And for the most part it worked, and sometimes it didn't, and then you would just have to rejig those blocks a little bit until you figured something out that worked for my business. And it's constantly evolving. So there are things that we're doing right now that I know is not as efficient as it should be. And those are things that we're just constantly changing.
So for me, I do have a business partner, so that's been helpful. We're able, to put our heads together, and we both come obviously from an accounting background. When we first started out, it was figuring out, what softwares work for us, because we want to make the job as efficient as possible, wherever we can save time. So definitely testing out softwares. Those free trials are great. And we started, honestly, we tracked files on a whiteboard at one point, and now I don't even know how we did that. When we have a full-blown project management software that we pay ridiculous amounts of money for. But yeah, it's just, I think for us, we took it as it came. Not that that's the best business practice, but as those problems came up, we just dealt with them. We did our research and talking with other entrepreneurs, right? Doing networking, we did a lot of networking, so we met a lot of people to get feedback as well.
Yes, I'm very fortunate that I don't have to deal with an accounting software or HR. It's the beauty of my partnership. Some of you might think in this room that a tire is round and black, and let me tell you, it's not. I can trust me on this. For me, I got to sell myself. We buy product. Yes, we buy the latest Apple iPhone. Yes, we buy the latest laptop. But when my industry, you're buying from me, and it's the connection I have to make. So I'm really out there selling myself every single day, selling my team every single day, and getting that trust built with my customers. So for me, it's just I got to sell myself and I got to sell my team.
Step 1, Google. Step 2, reach out to other industry people and kind of get advice from there. And then step 3, believe it or not, a lot of the people that you hire on to your team have had previous experience in other industries or carry different skill sets or knowledge in technology, marketing. So definitely leverage them.
So,
Just get Slack. That was a game changer for us. Just use Slack.
So it is 12:49. I know there might be a couple other questions out there as we just wrap up. The entrepreneurs are here for you guys, I think, for a couple minutes after we close up. But thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you guys for being on the panel today. Really appreciate it. I think we can all agree that there's a lot of passion in what you guys are doing in each of your individual businesses, and it really shows on how you speak to it today. So thank you so much. Yeah, and so with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. Can you guys all join me in thanking our panelists and Nicole? Just a reminder that we have next week our business model with Startup Edmonton on February 5th, and then on the 12th we have a networking event, Let's Get Social, with a focus on social media for business. That will be led by Kimberly Allison of Marketing RX and Jay Downton, Oilers Nation, so that should be really good. And on the 27th, we're doing a session on Ain't No Plan Like a Business Plan. If you have any questions, you can see me at any time in the Modgy Center. And I will be sending out a survey to everybody to please give us your feedback from today's session. But thank you so much for coming. Whoa. So are you doing on Saturday?
Oh, thank you. I believe so.
Yeah, there was a paper on the desk at time. And it had our name from what, then you'll have it. If you put it through Natalie and Lexi, I'll have
So are you working with the city? Oh, that's amazing. I'm in touch with Crystal. So that's Justin. I also work closely with.
Because that's, as a nonprofit setting up now, I need to get that message out, not just with my project, but it helps the entire media.
Are you going to go through further as well?
No, probably not. But yes, I'm working very closely with this. Still very excited about, having to build yeah, that's okay. Well, it's all interconnected, so
Well, it was really nice. It was really nice to meet you. Yeah, through the websites.
you betcha.
Great. I'm the one that gets those emails. Thanks.
I'm actually I stopped doing some. I was vlogging. Yeah. And I was like, I was just exploring Facebook, like, and I actually reached like, I think 70,000 people just boosting. So I'm quite interested in what we have at this city. Yeah. I'll speak for the person. I don't think there is. We don't want to workshop sessions or anything like that. Yeah, because he saw some of my videos. But that I can tell myself that like it's also yeah, no, really oh sure,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
okay.
The office, so I got a few errands to run, and I can enjoy some time. Yes, thank you. Glad I found it. Like anytime I use it.